Welcome to Berdon eCasts, a series of short video segments where Berdon advisors bring clarity to complex issues in a conversational, understandable, and personal way. I'm Talia Zetlin, Principal and CMO here at Berdon, and today tax partner Maury Golbert, CPA, attorney, and advisor to many prominent real estate organizations, will share insights on distressed assets and foreclosures. Maury, you've been getting a lot of questions on distressed debt and workouts. What's some of the advice that you've been giving people?
Well, obviously we're in a very difficult economic environment. These questions are coming up constantly. And I guess the first question is, what exactly constitutes a distressed asset? Usually when we talk about distressed assets, we're talking about one of two things. You either have an asset where the debt service cannot be paid as it comes due, so the property is just not generating enough cash flow to service the current debt payments. The second possibility is you have an asset that actually can service its debt currently, but the value of that asset has dropped so precipitously that it's either not worth what the current amount of the debt is worth, or even if it's worth close to what the amount of the debt is, because of the financing markets the way they are today, there's a maturity coming due on that debt, and everyone knows that you will not be able to refinance the existing debt for that level of debt, so that there's going to be significant pressure on the asset to either come up with some more money or to lose the property in a foreclosure action. So generally we're talking about two situations: can't cover the debt service as it comes due, or on the horizon you have an event coming due that you're not going to be able to deal with because the property values aren't there right now.
How does an asset wind up distressed?
Well, we've just gone through a cycle where credit was very, very lax. It was very easy to get a lot of credit. Lenders were throwing money at borrowers. The underwriting standards were very loose. And when they went to do underwriting, they were lending based on values that took into account what rents were projected to be on a going forward basis. Obviously, rents have not hit those projections, and occupancies are not where people thought they would be. So that resulted in tremendously easy credit available, and generally that credit was taken advantage of by two groups of people: people who were acquiring assets or people who were refinancing assets. So typical example, sort of market hit a peak sometime in 2007, and you were able to finance at that point with very little money down, up to 95%, 100%, sometimes even more than 100% of what the actual property value was. So you went in and paid these enormously exorbitant prices for assets, overpaid right out of the box, and were stuck with these assets with very expensive basis in them and very high cost of acquisition with tremendous levels of debt on them. The second big group of people who I would say are distressed or over-leveraged are people who've had historic properties that they've owned for a long time, so the values of those properties skyrocket from maybe where they had bought them to enormous valuations, and took advantage of that easily available credit to go out and put lots and lots of debt on those properties and then distribute all that debt out. So they've taken out a lot of the equity that was inherent in the value of those properties and maybe did it in a very tax efficient way, so the money came out without paying any current tax on those valuations.